Okay, so good morning. So today, I'm excited today. We're here with James and Rachel Stewart. And correct me if I say this wrong, but it's from the Southwest Black Ranchers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, because I inverted it one time. It said Black Southwest Ranchers. So I wanted to be sure I got it right. And so the Southwest Black Ranchers, what James and Rachel are, they're the only black owned and operated protein ranch in Arizona, which is located in Douglas. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, great. So what is it? I'm intrigued by it, and instead of me trying to explain what it is, I would hope maybe you can give me an idea of what your ranch is and how you came about developing this. I have a lot of questions to follow up to it as well, but I'm just curious what it is and how it operates, and what you're planning to do with it. So if you want, I'd like to hear from both of you, quite honestly, because I have questions for both of you. So I'm going to pepper you both with some things. So
Okay, got you. Basically, what we are is we're just starting up from the beginning. So basically, we've got into 10 acres. Decided to build a ranch. We're looking right now. They're looking at heavy goat, sheep. Uh, we got chickens. We've got turkeys. So we're gonna do heritage turkeys for the holidays.
okay.
We got some ducks. So we'll be able to have eggs. Do different types, sell chicks. Actually produce meat. Looking to get into some fish as well. So we kind of have a wide variety of meats that we're looking to go into, more of niche foods, so to say. We're not trying to go compete with a cattle rancher. That's just not realistic, especially coming from where we're coming from.
Right.
Finances don't even close to a lot of that. I'm lucky to get a couple cows. So
Right, yeah.
let alone think I'm gonna supply cows. Cows are very expensive, but
Yeah.
journey we've learned that like goat meat is very popular and there's a high demand for goat meat. And that's something that we can do, and they turn a lot quicker than cows. So we'll be able to get into that a lot faster. Goats and sheep do the same kind of production rates, so it's the same thing there. How we kind of got into it, we were up in basically Mesa Gilbert area. We came down here in October 1st, but we've been there for quite some time, there on and off in California and other places as well. But I was working a couple jobs actually, do personal training. So, staying busy, supporting the family, doing the thing, pretty much the everyday thing that most people do.
Yeah.
Then, we were looking to buy a house, get into a house. And, I saw that people were bidding for homes in the time where everybody was losing their jobs. So, I'm pretty nervous from what happened to me back in 2008. So, I got hit hard back then. So
Right.
I thought COVID might have the, opposite effect where houses would go down and I'd be able to get in a place where, I'd have some flexibility, to play with the market. But when I saw that, people were bidding on homes, it's like, I don't want to pay that much for a house. So we started looking at land. First we're up north and we kind of looked around land, found this to be the best land for us.
Well, we actually looked even like international, and we looked at like New Mexico. We've looked at California before because we've been
Okay.
there and we're from there. But then we looked like all over the state before we decided on coming down here.
So
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And you found that Douglas, was it just because of, I guess it was more affordable or land in Douglas?
there's weather. We didn't want to be in the snow, so we wanted to be
Sure.
able to do our thing, basically year round. One
Yeah.
of the advantages of being in, Arizona,
Right.
the capability to do things. It does get cold, it's cold today. It's getting
Yeah, for sure.
it's low 20s at night, so it is very cold, but it's still not snowing, so we can work every day pretty much, with the exception of like high winds and the dust. So we just kind of found that this would be a good place to do everything.
And when we were looking, anytime I would bring a place up, he would automatically ask me about the laws. And that's why we pretty much were able to still stay in Arizona. But we like the laws here. And that's why it's so funny that you contacted us,
Well, my number one thing. So we looked, basically on that. We looked at moving out of the country. We've looked at all kind of things to kind of just, get the feeling of being quote unquote free.
Sure.
You're not
Yeah.
stuck in everything. You can never be free in the world, but as free as you can be.
Sure. Yeah.
And like every time, everything can sound great, and it comes to the number one question: hey, what's the gun law?
Right.
What's the gun law?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you say the wrong thing, it doesn't matter how great it is. The answer is no, because that's
Yeah.
the number one priority for me. Is like you need good gun laws, because that's what you have to have in this
Of
world,
course.
this country. But like
Yeah.
in the other countries, they'll if they do even allow you to have a gun, if anything ever happens, they're just coming to get your gun.
Yeah.
You're not a citizen, so you lose all your citizenship rights.
Right.
That, and that's kind of like, that's a big deal. People don't really necessarily realize that, but when things hit the fan and things like now, like COVID, you're not a citizen, and what does that do for you? You don't get any of the resources, so you're kind of like stuck out of there. That's why we decided against there.
People like think that it's scary because it's like right next to Mexico.
Right.
But it's really not. We haven't had any problems. We're like out of the city, and it's funny because we were put on one of I think like recently number 20 on the worst places to live in the U.S.
Oh, is that right? Oh, wow. Yeah.
But we lived in Chicago. We lived in Charlotte.
Man,
We lived in
please.
in not great neighborhoods, even in San Diego. So this is like fine.
I mean, we are out of city limits though. So
yeah,
we
are
live
out of the city.
in Douglas. We're about 10 minutes away from Douglas because we want to kind of be
more in the
there.
Country,
so,
or the high desert country. But yeah, it's just funny. But as far as safety is concerned, we're really close with like all our neighbors, and it's pretty safe. I mean, we don't have problems, and we've been connecting with a lot more organizations and people, and just networking and growing with people kind of on the same type of goals like us, and it's just really interesting the way that the community kind of comes together down here too. And we've actually encountered a lot of Black families moving right where we are.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I was actually going to ask you all about that, because I mean, obviously, you all are trailblazers right now in this industry, what you're doing. But I just wouldn't, in my head, I was thinking maybe you didn't have a lot of Black support, not only overall, but especially in that area. I can tell you, I mean, you all know what I do with my gun organization, and it's been a struggle for us because most of the people that tell us no, that tell me no specifically, or we're not into that, or that's not the direction of our organization, are from Black folks. And
really?
So, yeah, oh yeah, often, because there's still that negative connotation with Black people owning guns. Even amongst our own people, it's either you're maybe a policeman or a criminal, drug dealer, that type of thing. And I think they're missing out on the thousands of us that own guns who have never committed a crime, or squeaky clean and just living life and want to protect ourselves, or for whatever reason. So the fact that you brought that up, I'm surprised to hear that, because I figured you would be going kind of through the same thing and wouldn't have that support, not only from other people, but from us as well. So that's good to hear that you have some support out there.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like within 4 lots on each side is another Black family.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's not like that out here. Don't think it's just all Black people out here. But
No. Yeah.
It happened to be that way, which is, great. So I mean, both of them got kids, so it's like around our kids' age as well. It's nothing like we thought it was gonna be. When we first came down here, they weren't here, and then we didn't. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't actually here because we first got into the land in July.
Okay.
And, I sold a car, had to maneuver some things, and then we finally got it paid off. But yeah, so that was like real shocking. And then, like that was my biggest thing, was like, okay, where's some emergency, and where is like supplies, just in case something happens to us out here. But it's not like that where we ended up, because by the time we got there, there was another family there, and another family came since we come. We just met with another family that's probably about 20 minutes away, kind of doing the same thing. They're an interracial family as well.
What's so funny about that family is we're the only one trying to do a commercial ranch. So everyone kind of has their own niche and like what they're interested in, and so we're building the Black Ranch, and the other family that we just connected with is a Black farrier. So if you're familiar with farming, farriers are the people who cut the nails for the the hooves for horses and cattle. So having a Black farrier let alone this. He's probably the only one in the whole state.
Yeah, yeah. I bet you he is. Yeah.
From us, and that we just connected. It's just so funny. It's like the world is big, but the world is small. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
especially like you said when you're connecting with different Black organizations or the Black
Mhm.
communities and trying to find support. So we've found it in different types of places, but it's just really interesting, and I find the relationships are the best part
Yeah.
because it's built with a similar foundation, and then we both kind of have the same vision, so we all
Mhm.
know we're heading into the future together, hopefully,
Right.
you know what I mean, and we're going to be
Yeah.
building together. So one of them is another rancher that we've connected with, who's here but actually has a ranch in Mexico and wants to help us supply beef to people,
Oh, okay.
and it's so funny
Yeah.
they connected us, and we're gonna hang out later on today. So
Oh.
it's just important to build these food systems and these
Mhm.
independent food security for our community and for the future. So that's one of our big goals is developing diversity in the food systems,
Mhm.
especially since you're from here, so you see that there's like so many farms. But
Right.
I don't know, have you ever heard of any Black farms out here?
Well,
No, I mean,
No.
not only not ever, anywhere. I don't know any, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I'm really intrigued. And I think to your point, it's true. I think if we look for each other, we're out there and maybe not in great numbers all the time, but we have to look for each other. And one of the things how we go hand in hand with you all is that what we've experienced during this pandemic in our gun organization. And one of the things I say real quick, one of my models is we're more than just shooters. And I tell folks, I said, and trust me, I'm a gun geek. I'm always watching YouTube videos. That's what I do. I love it. But we're more than that. And so many people now during this pandemic and all the social unrest have expressed an interest in learning more to hunt, learning more to be self-sustainable, and learning how to farm and grow vegetables and things of that nature. So I think even though what you all are doing, you support what we do, but you have a different avenue right now with the farming. You fit right in with who we are. So I just think building those relationships, that, as you were mentioning, is just paramount, and we have to do more of it. I think we have a lot of power that's scattered. I think if we combine our groups, like many ethnicities do, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think we can do a lot more and accomplish a lot more. And I noticed also, I'm going to read this really quickly to you all. So, and this is from your statements on your website. It's you all are dedicated to building a reliable institution that not only provides healthy food but more diversity and equal representation within the food industry and agriculture. And I found that powerful for me. And I assume that's one of the big reasons you all have done this. Naturally, there are other reasons, but that's one of the big reasons. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen? And there are some numbers that you also have on there of how Black folks represent the farming industry, not only from years ago, but even more currently, and maybe why that is in your experience, why we're such a low number in this industry.
well, all right. So I believe if it was like 1920, where Black farmers were at the peak, it was like 25% or something like that of the farms in the country.
Like
Mm-hmm.
18 to 20% or something like that. Yeah.
It was a high percentage.
That's a high percentage. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and at that point, then they started getting their land taken. So
Mm-hmm.
people go encroach their land, take their land. We didn't have a lot of rights back then, so a lot of things could just happen to us. So over time, basically they took all the land. We went down to 1.5%.
Well,
So
they were given they weren't given equal access to programs that were helping farms too at that time. So
Okay.
so not getting equal help put them into a lot more debt. So where they were more likely to
Right.
sell the farms at the same time.
One of the big things I wanted to ask, and I think that I saw, Rachel, that you have some sort of experience in farming and things, maybe through 4-H or something, if I'm not mistaken. But is that the only experience you all have combined, or James, do you have some experience with this, or
oh no.
no?
I'm a city boy at heart. Before I got out here, I never even
Mhm.
been camping.
Oh
So
wow, okay, wow, that's a shock. Yeah, yeah,
so this is completely new for me. I mean,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, when you do enough things in life, you learn. You just got to go learn things.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not like you can't do it. It's just not what you've been exposed to. It's not your previous experiences, but you know, you go to different careers and different things, you learn different things all over the place. So, I mean, I actually love it being out here. Like I say, it's you know, you're a lot freer out here.
Yeah.
A lot freer out here. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
For sure. And how has that learning curve affected, you know, what kind of challenges are you encountering, or any, due to maybe your lack of knowledge and experience with this?
You know, it's kind of like learning, but it's not. It's difficult, but it's not difficult.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Like, it's just a lot of work, and you got to look things up, which is the hardest part about it. But outside of that, it's like, so our buildings and stuff. I mean, I've done stuff in the city as far as like, you know, doing tile or remodeling something in my houses, landscaping in my house. So you know, I've worked somewhat. I'm not in construction. I come from personal training and sales. So
Right. That's a big difference. Yeah.
But you know, but I've done things. You know, I mean, so it's not anything out of the ordinary. But you know, like I say, you know, some of the resources we have down here, like the neighbors we've become close with, he's a contractor. So when it comes to doing the roof, he can help me and stuff like that. You know, we're building a hyper Adobe, so it's all natural building. So that's the one that we figured that, you know, we could definitely do on our own. And
Sure.
so far, so good on it. No, it's not, you know, extreme. It's very hard work.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very hard work, but
the
skill set is basically filling bags with the dirt and stacking the bags and working them. So that's, you know, not extremely difficult, but just getting used to not having all the things is probably the hardest part about being out here.
And also making sure we keep all the animals healthy. So
yeah, I didn't thought about that. Yeah.
like each of the animals, learning each of the problems. And it's one thing, you know, to read about it all the time or watch videos, but when you're like we're new to this, so we're doing it, and we have to just always be paying close attention to them, you know, looking out for anything that could be wrong. And he's like, every day it's something, you know.
Yeah. Right. I bet. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what it is. And then like we have coyotes. We have really, really bad coyotes. So we get up like sometimes like 2 or 3 times a night because they howl like really, really loud.
Oh yeah.
We try to like kind of scare them away and make sure they don't come near our animals. And we lock some of them down at night, most of them down, but some of them we can't. So, and they can jump fences. So getting secure, I think, is going to be our next biggest challenge. And then what's it called? Our last biggest challenge is going to be getting like the funding, you know, to get everything up and running. But as long, it's all just time, I think, you know, it's just time, because it's always like fixing fencing, repairing fencing, building a new enclosure, you know. And that's, since we've gotten animals, we haven't been building our Adobe structures, and he just started back building that again today. So that's exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah.
But it just all just takes labor, you know.
Yeah, and that's what it is for sure.
You know.
Yeah. And one thing I'll tell you, you know, if you ever need me, I hunt coyote. I would love to go down there and shoot as many as you need me to, if you ever want. I mean, I'm sure you can as well, but.
Oh yeah.
There's a ton of them down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A ton of them.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So one thing I did want to ask though is, so what is your how long do you think before you're fully operational? What's the goal at least? I know there's always something thrown in there that you don't expect, but what do you think?
We have about 3 phases. So in the first phase, that's kind of like getting familiar and growing with each of the different animals that we're doing, because we're going to be, and just getting functional with each of them. So, you know, from fish all the way up to cow, goat, sheep. We're even, since you're a hunter, we're gonna have pheasant,
Nice.
quail, yeah. So,
Okay.
and like we said, we already have some duck, and just learning, because each breed, it has like meat versus like milk, or meat versus egg. You know, so there's different variations that we're kind of playing with. And I've been working with some different farmers, and we're working with actually the University of Arizona, their cooperative extension program, to just help make sure that we're getting everything right. And one of my daughters, when I said earlier about how every day it's something, I said, do you think every farmer's had this problem or every rancher's had this problem, and at least we're getting over it now, you know? So we're
Yeah, right.
now
Yeah.
versus getting you know, having a huge operation and then having a problem with something then, you know. So we're learning, and we can grow to scale. And then in phase two, so in phase one, I think it's about a year, and that way we get everything in operation, and we're hoping to have turkeys available for Thanksgiving.
Oh,
So
that's nice. Yeah.
yeah, and then also it depends on how much funding and equipment we have available, because we're going to be digging these underground greenhouses for aquaponics and hydroponics, because they grow the food way faster to help supply that to people. So that's more part of phase two. And then hopefully by phase three, which is the third year, we'll be in like full swing operation. And our goal is to feed 1,000 families a month. So
Wow. Wow.
and we've actually been speaking with so many different people, and the reach is going to be more than Arizona. So it's
Okay.
not just, so we are going to be able to deliver, you know, to Tucson and to Phoenix, in the greater Phoenix area, especially if we have our own vehicles and things like that to get the food up there. But also we're going to be able to ship the food to other states and cities, and then hopefully other countries too, because we're right here by Mexico. So the goal is
Yeah.
to grow the operation
Mhm.
eventually globally. But during the pandemic, you know, one of the places where we were taking our gardening, our hydroponic gardening class at, they were shipping food worldwide too.
Oh,
You
is that
know,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So when there's times of emergency, it matters, you know, supply and demand and who has the food. So we just want to
Mhm.
be able to supply as many food, as many people with food as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's an admirable goal, and it's very ambitious too. I didn't realize, I guess, that you were even talking about international, and that's huge. So yeah, that's a big thing. I also wanted to ask. I asked it before we got cut off. I don't know if you all heard it, but I know that you obviously have a fundraising campaign, and we'll certainly promote that amongst every avenue that I have for sure. But
Thank you.
also, what about any government grants or things of that nature? Is there anything available for you all that you can tap into?
So really, there's not much available at all at this point. One of the things that really keep people from being able to do this is there's no land. There's no land grants. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So, and the banks don't finance land either. So
Hmm.
there's one or two ways you get land. Either A, you outright purchase it, or B, you're doing pretty much owner financing. And with
Gotcha.
owner financing, I mean, there's a lot of advantages for the owner, because if you miss a payment, they don't foreclose. They just sell it to somebody else and keep the money.
Hmm.
So there's no land grants. If you're getting started, they don't like give you grants to get animals. They don't give you. You pretty much need to be operational and functioning before they give you any grants.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, no land, no equipment, and no animals. They won't let you use grants for that. As far as like the USDA or any of those loans or grants are concerned, for like your first 3 years, you need to be in operation, and for you to get a loan for land, you need to be in operation for so many years as well. So that's why like the GoFundMe is kind of perfect, because you have to build your farm, you know, to eventually get grants.
right.
But one of the connections that we just made is with somebody named Khalil, and he just did a little concert for us the other night, a little live
Oh.
Instagram live concert, and he won a $60,000 grant for Tucson for like helping his
Oh.
community, and his
Yeah.
is out of the realm of grants that we had been researching with the Black farmers and things like that. So his is just with the straight with the food bank, and it's not necessarily like national.
Right.
So and he's friends with some grant writers, and like I said, we're speaking with the cooperative extension through U of A. So hopefully we can start meeting and applying for some of these grants to help us grow for the future. You know,
Yeah.
but mainly our GoFundMe is like our biggest way to help right now.
Yeah.
And working with a private like fundraising person, she's
Mhm.
been helping me break down our goals, so that way we can have like a building that's sponsored by somebody. Right now, the green building we're building is actually a library. So we can
Oh.
have like a
Yeah. Okay.
library, and that can be dedicated to somebody, maybe a gym dedicated, a venue dedicated,
Mhm.
the well dedicated. So we actually get a large response of people wanting to come down and have events here. So
Mm.
and
Yeah.
we're still new still, but hopefully, in the next year, we'll be able to do that.
Oh,
But
yeah, that'd be great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's unique and really creative on ways to earn money, to raise money. And I actually find it kind of weird, though, and maybe I'm just more cynical by nature, but the fact that there aren't grants available and things, it's almost as if there's an effort for you not to, or not specifically you, but for people not to do this type of thing. Because like small businesses, there are small business loans and things of that nature. This is, something very similar. So I'm surprised to hear there's nothing. I assume there was something, but that's it caught me by surprise when you said that. I have to
Well,
admit.
well, well, let's remember now, you're dealing with the number one thing in the world. Okay,
Right.
there's a lot of things involved in that. So, like basically, the food industry is pretty much it's the Food Drug Administration industry.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so 90% of the food that you touch is coming from less than 10% of the farms.
Hmm. Wow.
It's beyond a monopoly. Okay, outside of the big boys, the largest cattle farm has like 50 cows.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so
Wow.
and if we all were able to just get land and grow food, what would that do to them?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So and there's a lot of other things that's actually occurring right now in the food industry too, though. So like the things that they're looking to do in the direction they want to go in. So which is another big reason why we got into this too, is they have the ability to scrape the sky and get carbon powder for protein. Okay,
Hmm.
that's something they want to feed us. They grow genetically modified meats from a cell of a cow, and they just got to get it. They're getting to a point where all they got to do is be able to cut it down and get it to look like what we're used to.
Huh.
They've got all kinds of stuff. Kentucky Fried Chicken has these fake nuggets out now that they
Yeah.
put in this chicken.
Being a hunter, I'm sure you can relate to wanting to have like real meat, like fresh
No
meat,
question. Yeah.
hormone-free meat.
Yeah.
And so just seeing how the food industry is really skewing it as the meat industry is the bad guy right now. The meat industry is the bad guy, and then let the industrial food industry bring you this man-made meat that's the solution. To this
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
to this other solution. So we're doing the regenerative farming, we're doing it the sustainable way,
Mhm.
and as far as the meat, we just see that it with only 90% of the farms have less than 50 cows, is what he was saying, who provide
Wow.
meat. Yes.
That is crazy.
So that's why, like, it's important when and if ever these food systems have the strain on them like they continue to have with COVID, that we build up these small farms so that they can help, have that food security, and we can have that relationship with healthy, proper protein and meat, available
Right.
to people. But what was I gonna say about the so there are loans available for small business, and we've considered going that route. But then when we think about why we want to be different from the ranchers and farmers of the past, is a loan can mean a lien, which means you can lose things. So we're really not trying to go the loan route. We're trying to build and be
Yeah.
sustainable in a way where
Yeah.
every part makes sense. Where the whole
Yeah.
cycle of the chicken can be produced here all the way to the food, hopefully. So we're not having
Yeah.
to
That's good. Yeah.
outsource the feed, because that's where some of the other farms have had issues too, because maybe they'd say, okay, we'll buy your chicken, but then we're going to raise the price of your feed. Where eventually when we
Yeah.
become sustainable, we'll be producing our own feed, we'll be
Mhm.
producing everything in a full circle with our food systems. Yeah.
Oh, I got you. So fully self-sustainable. I get. All right. I see the picture now. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Wow. That's pretty good. Yeah. I was surprised when you're talking about some of the genetically things or genetic things they're trying to create. That's, I guess, not real food. And
well,
so
well,
that's, yeah.
the worst one is they basically got like these things they create out of embryos that can either create a savory taste or a sweet taste. So basically, they've got the ability to control what your mouth tastes. So you don't know what you really ate, but you just taste what they let you taste.
so we
Oh,
can shut off the receptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the
So
more we learn about it, it just blows our minds, and that's what like it
yeah.
drives us even further to produce everything we're doing. You know?
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say, and I imagine a lot of people agree with me. I want no parts of what what you just described from them. Nothing to do with that. Yeah, I'll let my receptors do their own thing naturally. I don't want anyone to control it. That's just on a different level for me, and that's why what you all are doing is so important. And I think we need more of it. We need to promote more of it. And another thing, and that all ties into being healthy and I assume, James, and maybe you can tell me more about this because of your background in fitness and bodybuilding and everything. I think that does this all tie in because naturally your nutrition has to be on point. So I guess this kind of fits into nicely to what you did before this farming thing.
well, it does. I mean, basically, a lot of the knowledge of like foods and the importance of foods come from that background. You
Yeah.
know, and then like seeing what they're trying to do, like the other Beyond Meats and these other
Right.
meats that aren't really meat. You know,
Yeah.
they're not, and they push them as if they're such a great thing for you, but they're actually way worse for you than the actual meat itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not getting any benefits. So like, especially if you don't have a bad reaction to anything, it's not beneficial for like someone like myself who eats beef to go eat
Yeah.
this plant-based beef that's worse
Mm-hmm.
for me and
Right.
created from all these things that actually mess up the planet to say that I'm saving the planet.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, just trying to get actual food. The desire to know what food really tastes like. So like
Right.
having the eggs for the first time was amazing because I've never had eggs from a chicken, straight from a chicken, I should say.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Straight. Right. Yeah.
Straight
Right.
from a
Yeah.
chicken. I know how
Yeah.
the chicken eats, and it's a real chicken egg comes out cracked. It's amazing.
Oh
Mhm.
wow! I've never had that experience.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
most people don't. We only
Yeah.
get what we get from the store. So all
Right.
we gotta do is compare it from the stores, and I'm seeing, I've heard, now I'm seeing from that. It's gonna take a second before I get some meat, but yeah, it's different. It's
Yeah.
definitely different.
And our big goal is we want to be like the black swans, like the black organic swan. So
Okay. Yeah.
the food delivery where you
Sure.
can
Sure.
talk to your delivery person, see, okay, what's coming out in season soon, what's going to be available. So that way you always know what's available here from the ranch directly. Farm to table is our biggest goal, and that's our most important thing. And we've all seen the supply chain break down like drastically through COVID, so
Mhm.
that why
Yeah.
us being independent suppliers is our biggest goal. So we said sustainability, but the reason why we have our GoFundMe is to create a processing center. So right now, there's delays for processing centers all over the country. All over the world, there's delays for the processing centers. But if we had our own independent processing center, that means we could even help other farms process. That means there's going to be food always available because it's going to be directly from here. So that way
Yeah.
it's straight to the people. You can know exactly what's in your food. And then eventually we'll have people come down. They can see how everything's made, find the
Okay. Yeah.
products. But definitely having that structure, and that's what's just so shocking because, like we said, the deeper we look into it and the breakdown and the lack of um, just black ownership in the food industry. I
Hmm.
remember, I think a year ago or so, grocery outlet was the first one in LA to open a black owned grocery store there. There was the only black owned grocery store in LA, and that happened a year ago. So when you just think about how far we still have to go in
Yeah.
diversifying just what's even available. I mean, you can see, look at who owns liquor stores, who owns Circle K's. You know what I mean? Who owns
Right.
We need to get into the healthy, the positive, the things that
Right.
and it's available. It's just kind of breaking out of the box and changing the mindset and the mind frame and the goals of putting people in better positions by giving them access to knowledge and knowing that these things are available. If I hadn't grown
Yeah.
up doing the 4-H and understanding how the auctions work, how you keep better
Sure.
animals and understanding how much you're paying for this and how
Mhm.
that whole food system works, my mind would never have been open to farming.
Yeah. Right, and it just took that, and now look where you're at now. So I think it's to your point though. If we
Yeah.
just have our people experience that and introduce it to them, then we'd have a lot more like you that could do things like that, and certainly we'd be more successful as a people. And I really like the aspect. And one of the things I wrote down as well is because this all ties in again as I talked to James about his fitness and nutrition. I think obviously, as we know, there's a real need for Black folks to be more healthy. We have so many things that genetically that are against us, high blood pressure, things of that nature. And I think eating better goes a long way into treating that. And I won't get into all that how food, because I'm no expert at it, but certainly there's a connection between healthy eating and good health more so than just taking medicine and medication and pills all day. So I think this ties right into it, and this is another reason why I'm so excited about it. Because I have family that they all deal with this. I had an aunt that died of hypertension, just complications, and just obesity, things of that nature. But it's all diet choices, and some of the areas they come from, and where we come from, more inner city, like you, James, you were saying. Not only do we not have the options, but we don't even know about it, so we don't even explore it. So I think just doing more of this really makes a difference and helps us as a people on more level than just providing food. It's just a nutritional value to it as well. Um, so how can the average person like myself, people in my group, anywhere, how can the public assist you all? I mean, obviously through your GoFundMe, but is there something that you all need that people can do to help you?
Well, I mean, like I said, we're new to this, so like some of the people, they might not financially help us, but they've had knowledge and knowledge that's a great thing to have too.
Sure. So how can people help you all out? We talked about the GoFundMe that you have, but what are different ways that the general public or anyone interested can help you all?
Well, we're going to be having another volunteer day, I think in the end of January. So we can definitely let you know about that. And I
Please.
think just kind of spreading the word. I really like kind of like what you're doing about you're a niche thing. Not a lot of Black people hunt necessarily,
That's true.
so not a
Yeah.
lot of Black people are ranchers. So just spreading that knowing that we're here, knowing that this is a real thing that is really available. We're not going anywhere, so
You're right.
so we're gonna be here to stay. So hopefully, we can grow with time and awareness. And if anybody wants to donate anything, we're taking things too. We go ahead, Stu.
Let's say any body that has people that have knowledge that can help us with any of these things. Connections are always good. Any kind of support we're grateful of. I mean, our goal was, like she said, to spread the word. Our original goal is just to have 20,000 people donate $20 each, and we could probably be able to get to that level of what we're trying to do with the processing center and stuff. But I mean, any support, basically, anything anybody has to offer, it's not like we're choosy.
Yeah, right, sure.
We're really getting started. So like, knowledge is great. Anything anybody has to help, we're definitely appreciative of.
And what's the name of the GoFundMe? And I'll post that as well on the page.
It's under James Stewart with the Southwest Black Ranchers, creating the first and only Black owned protein ranch in Arizona.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty easy to find. It's also, there's a link on our Instagram and on our Facebook as well, on our profile.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is great. And so I think, give me 1 second. I think there was one more thing I wanted to touch on, but we may have. Yeah, actually, we did touch on it, so you all have answered it. So what we'll do is, hopefully this can lead into another conversation. I know there's, you all can talk forever about it. And just in my preparation, as I spoke with you all, there were a lot more questions that popped up that I hadn't thought of. So there's always, there may be a continuation request for me at some point. But we certainly support you. My organization, it's the Freedom Firearms and Safety Gun Club. We're the only Arizona chapter. We're part of the National African American Gun Association, and we support this fully. And one of the things I'll do is share this with our members, and with undoubtedly they'll have questions and they'll want to reach out to you as well and support what you're doing. The members that we have, they range about, I think overall throughout the whole state, there are about 400 of us, but Yeah, but you know how that goes. Maybe 250 are actually active. So, but that's okay. But certainly, we would all support you, and we all appreciate what you're doing, and we need to learn from you. There are things that we can learn from you all as you go through your journey that we can apply to our just in our homes. You know, just every day. We don't have to be on the grand scale like what you're doing, but certainly we can take from your knowledge and your experience and do something big as well. So. I'll promote that, and we'll support you any way we can. Uh, we thank you. I thank you personally. Again, like I said in the beginning, I was overly excited about speaking with you all and was so fortunate that you answered in a favorable way. So a lot of times people get big time and they forget about me. So I was happy that you all didn't.
We appreciate you having us.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yes.
Oh, no, definitely. So it's been my pleasure and it's been my honor. And I look forward to participating, donating, helping out any way I can, and speaking with you all again in the future real soon.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. We look forward to it too. Thank you.
I appreciate you all. Thanks. Have a good one.